Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's cook-along. It's Wednesday, and the sun's shining, so it's quite appropriate. We're making chicken fajitas, which is a nice, lightish, summery meal. So hopefully you've got all your ingredients. I think for once I may have put all the ingredients and the equipment on the list, but let's see. So your ingredients for chicken fajitas, which will serve 4 people. You need 2 large chicken breasts. What else do we need? A red onion. I've not got my red onion out. I always forget something. My glamorous assistant is going to rummage in the fridge and find me a red onion, please. We need a red pepper. So I could only get these long skinny ones, but that's fine. Any shape is good. A red chilli, which is optional. We need some smoked paprika, some ground cumin and some ground coriander, which is going to give it some delicious flavour. We also need 2 garlic cloves, some olive oil, lime, and lime and Tabasco, which is optional. I won't be putting Tabasco in because my children won't enjoy that. And then to serve, flour tortillas, salad, tomatoes or tomato salsa, avocado, sour cream. If you've not got sour cream, I'm going to have to rummage in the fridge. If you've not got sour cream, you can just use natural yogurt, which is what we normally do. So you don't have to go out and get sour cream, especially. And the other thing that's quite nice with these sometimes is cheese. So they like cheddar. I quite like a bit of feta on it because it's quite salty. Freya's going to take you through the equipment list while I find the red onion. If you just read the list, darling.
You need 2 chopping boards, 2 cutting knives, measuring spoons, garlic crusher, frying pan, 4 small serving bowls, 1 large serving bowl, and a spoon.
All right, so let's get started. Now, what we're going to do is before we deal with our chicken.
Julia's doing.
I know. Hi, Julia. Before we deal with our chicken, because once you've touched raw meat, be it chicken or beef or lamb, whatever, you need to go and wash your hands because of the bacteria that's on the meat when it's raw. So what we're going to do is try and prepare everything else, and then we'll cut the chicken. And then we won't be backwards and forwards with washing our hands and making the balls dirty. So first thing we're going to do is prepare the vegetables for our fajitas. So take your chopping board and take a knife. You can do the chopping, yeah. So first thing we're going to do is chop our pepper. So to prepare the pepper, it's a different kind of pepper. It's a long one. I think they're called Romanos. You just cut off, you got this end with the stalk. You just cut that off. I'm just making sure it's all visible. And then you take your pepper and you cut along the middle so that you end up with 2 halves of pepper like that. And then just remove the bit in the middle that's got the pips. Yeah, the pips, they're not pips, are they? They're seeds. And then all you want to do is cut your, rubbish there. Get any of the seeds out that are lurking. And then you just want to cut your pepper into thin strips. Now, because ours is long, I'm going to cut ours in half first. Otherwise, the strips are going to be too long. And then just cut them into strips like that. Okay? So if you do that with your pepper to start with.
I love pepper. I've never tried this romantic pepper.
Not romesco, that's the type of sauce. Anyway, they were the only ones I could get today. And now veg box only had green peppers in. Which doesn't really matter, to be honest. If you couldn't get a red pepper, you could use yellow, you could use orange, or you could use green. Green's just not quite as sweet. Exactly. This is why I'm not using the green, because they moan.
I don't moan that much. Just I think that I just prefer normal pepper.
Okay.
Well, red and orange.
Right. Okay. Keep going. Yeah.
I don't moan that much about it.
No. Well, we all like different things, don't we? That's the thing. That's what's quite good with fajitas is that we're using chicken in ours today. You could make beef. You can make just vegetable fajitas. So you can choose what you want to put in there.
Are those the ones that you cook in the oven with melted cheese?
No, they are burritos. So fajitas are fun because you make them up yourself at the table. So that's why we're making lots of bits to go with them as well.
What? Those ones that you like?
Okay,
Oh, I love these ones.
All right, let's chop that one in half. So everyone keep going with their peppers.
I'll do it. I'll pay attention.
And just watch your fingers, obviously, when you're using the knife.
I'm very qualified.
Don't want to lose any fingers, do we?
Mummy's super qualified. Super califragilistic qualified.
Okay, that's it. Don't chop off your fingers. All right. Okay, we've got one more section to cut, so hopefully you're nearly done with your peppers as well, or your
I'm
pepper.
just slow.
No, it's good to take your time. You're less likely to cut yourself, aren't you? Take your time. Okay, so that's our pepper cutter. Next thing is our onion. So to prepare your onion, you've got two ends. You've got one end with the roots on, and then you've got the other end with the stalk on. So first thing you want to do is cut your onion in half from the roots to the stalk. Okay, so pop it on your board, cut it in half, and then peel the skin off of both halves.
My eyes.
Just see our eyes water. Hopefully they won't. I used to get very watery eyes with onions. I've got a bit better recently. Might be all this cooking, yeah.
Oh my god.
Is it strong, this one?
I'm just
Okay.
scared to do it. 'Cause
I saw a programme quite a while ago and they're
Is that
trying to, yeah, that's perfect, develop an onion that doesn't make your eyes water.
that's the kind of
Okay, so you should still have, Freya, you're a professional veggie chopper. So you should still have your root attached on your stalk. So first thing to do, I'll do one half and then Freya can do the other, is chop off the bit with the stalk, because we don't want that. Put that in your rubbish pile. Then we're going to cut from the root to where you've cut the stalk off. But what you want to do is not cut right down to the root. You want to keep the root attached, and I'll show you why in a minute. So it's a little bit fiddly. What am I doing? We're not chopping today. Right, we'll do it this way anyway because it's still easier.
What?
We're slicing, we're not chopping. I'm so used to dicing. Slicing and dicing. Right, okay.
Oh,
You know what I'm doing. So when you've done that, look, you've got like a little fan. Not good. You've got all your slices. Then what you need to do, let me just finish off. This is when you now cut your stalk off, your root off, because that means you've then got all individual pieces of onion, which is what you want. Can you see that? But you've done it without risking your fingers. So Freya's going to do our other half. Lovely.
Wait, how's the non-eye-watering onion?
It's all. I don't know how they're getting on with it. So whatever is in an onion that makes your eyes water, they're trying to develop
Did
an
you know
onion
if you chop
that doesn't
onions
do that.
underwater, your eyes will water?
Well,
No, it's true.
yeah, but it'd be really hard to chop them underwater, wouldn't it? Can you
Yeah,
imagine?
that's why people don't do it.
There's all sorts of things they say, isn't there?
No, but it is true because then the fumes are in the water and all the other fish die. Because they don't
Other fish die.
Yeah, because it goes into their eyes instead of ours.
What, if you were cutting it in the sea?
Yeah. It's probably not true, but that's what I made up.
I like that. Okay, right. So we'll just break our onion
But
into
that
bits.
does mean that then when they drink their water, it's seasoned.
Ah. Right, next thing we're going to do is make up our marinade. So I didn't put this on the ingredients list because I always forget something. It wouldn't be a cook-along if I remembered everything. You need a mixing bowl. You could use your
Put it on.
Did I? No.
Oh.
You could use your serving bowl if you haven't got a mixing bowl handy. But if you can go and run and grab a mixing bowl, go and do that now. Okay, so to make our marinade, we need to mix together our spices. So if you remember, we've got sweet smoked paprika. If you've only got standard paprika, that's fine. If you haven't got paprika, you could use a little bit of chilli. We've got ground cumin and we've got ground coriander. So in terms of measurements, you need to grab your teaspoon measure and we're going to measure out. No, you need to, your teaspoon measure and your tablespoon measure. Yes, you can. So with the teaspoon measure, we need a teaspoon of the smoked paprika. So 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika in the bowl, yeah? Lovely. Is that strong? We're going to have a tablespoon. So now we need our bigger spoon. A tablespoon of the ground coriander. We'll have to pour it in, I think. Or should we spoon it out with the little spoon? Now, when you're measuring things out onto spoons, don't do it over your main bowl, because if you spill it and put too much in, then it all goes everywhere. And then we just want a little pinch. Well, it says, my recipe says a pinch, but I'm going to put half a teaspoon of the ground cumin in because I love ground cumin. Okay, so we've got all of that in there.
Oh, it smells really strong.
Now we need to move our bowl and grab our garlic cloves. So we've got a whole bowl here. That's a bulb. The cloves are inside, so you don't want two bowls because you would blow your head off. So there's one clove, there's two cloves. Now garlic cloves vary in size, so if you find you've got really tiny ones, then maybe put 3 in. Right. Yeah, you can do the other one. So to prepare your garlic, the same process we had with to chop off the top and chop off the bottom. So the bottom bit where the roots were and the top bit where the stalk were. Chop both of those off, and that will help you to easily peel the skin away. Okay, so Freya's going to do the other one. Hello, Teddy. And always try and make sure you keep your chopping board clean. So any bits of peel, don't put them on your board unless you're Freya and you've got someone that just picks them up after you. But put them to one side, because if you leave them on your board, then you're going to end up with them potentially in your food, which is not great. Okay, how are you doing there? Okay, and then once you've got the skin off of your garlic clove, do them one at a time. So put one into your crusher and then just squeeze it over your bowl that's got the spices in, and then you just use a knife or a spoon just to scrape that off of the garlic crusher and remove the crushed bit of clove, and then you can do your second one.
There's green.
That's fine. That's how it's supposed to be. Right. Do you want to squeeze that one in? Oh, I've got all muscles. Do you want me to have a little squeeze? We've got two crushers. We've got one that crushes really well, but it's really hard. And we've got another one that's easy to use, but just doesn't get as much out. It's the old one. I don't use it very often.
Can I see it?
Oh.
Can I see it?
Leave that in there. No, not right now. Okay, so as I say, take your bit, and it's good to take your bits of garlic off straight away, because otherwise they dry on and then your crusher's even harder to clean. So, fiddly bits. All right, so in there we've got smoked paprika, ground coriander, ground cumin, and 2 garlic cloves. Next thing we're going to add to that is our olive oil. So we need 4 tablespoons of olive oil. So Freya, do you want to hold the spoon? Or are you going to pour as well? Okay, so 4 tablespoons altogether over the bowl. Okay, 1, 2.
Is this the chicken marinade?
Yeah, for all the chicken and the vegetables. 4. Perfect. Okay. So that's that done. Then the last thing we're going to put in here, for now, it's not the last thing actually, I'm lying, move our bowl out of the way. You should have a lime, okay? Now, to make sure you get most of the juice out of your lime, or get as much as possible, give your lime, a little roll. Press down on it and give it a little roll. And then you'll... And then you'll find when you cut it in half and squeeze it, you'll get more juice out of it. So just take your lime and squeeze that into your bowl.
Please be no pips.
Don't generally get pips in limes, I don't think.
Oh yeah, that's because they're vegetables.
Because
No, seriously. Basically, lemons are fruits and limes are vegetables, because limes don't have any seeds in them.
Is it not just that they're
whatsoever?
Is it not just that they're picked early and?
No,
Okay.
they just generally don't have seeds.
There we go, fact of the day. All right, so last thing to put in here, if you're using it, is your chilli. So you can see, I mean, they're called chili peppers. They're similar shape to the peppers that we cut earlier. So we prepare in the same way. So first thing we're going to do is cut off the stalk at the top. Put that to one side. Yeah. And then cut along the length of the chili. And then you'll see inside we've got the chili seeds. Now, with a chili, what's hot are these little seeds. The actual chili itself is not that spicy. So what you need to do now is remove this core bit with the seeds and try and not touch it if you can help it, only because the more you touch it, the more spice you're going to get on your fingers. And it's really, really important, that's why we're doing it all in this order, that we go and wash our hands after we've prepared the chili.
You touched them.
That's fine, I'm going to wash my hands. With soap, not just water, with soap. And you need to probably do it 2 or 3 times. So we'll do it once, and then when you finish cooking all together, go and do it again, because you know what will happen? Yeah, do not touch your eyes, because if you touch your eyes and you still have chili on your fingers, it's going to burn your eyes. Not dangerously burn them, but they're going to be sore. All right, so our chili we want to cut up into small pieces. So we're going to cut it into matchstick. See? Got little strips. But then what we're going to do with those strips, when we cut one way, we're going to cut across those strips to make little small cubes of chili. Okay? So the reason I said optional, I said optional is because not everybody likes chili. But to be honest, like I say, if you remove the seeds, it's really not that spicy. So you'll be fine with it. Okay. That's perfect. And then we'll just chop the other way. Apologies if you're not using chili and you're waiting for me. As quick as I can. Okay. So that is it. All right, so we're going to put that chili into our mixing bowl. So there we go. In it goes. All right. And then we are going to give it a stir. So you just want to give that a good stir and mix everything up together. So all your spices, your garlic, your chili, your olive oil, and your lime juice. Okay? And then what we're going to do, the vegetables that we prepared earlier, so the peppers and the onion, we're going to just pop those in the bowl, but not stir them at the moment. We're just going to put them in there and put that to one side. Right, now we've done all the vegetables, we're going to prepare our chicken. And then when we've done that, we're going to wash our hands, remembering with soap, so we get the chili off and we get the bacteria from the chicken off. So to prepare your chicken, you should have 2 large chicken breasts. We just want to cut these into thin strips. Now, fajitas, it's a bit like when you do a stir fry, you're cooking it quite quickly, so you don't want big bits of chicken. So what you want to do, again, minding your fingers, is cut across the breast to make quite thin strips. So what's that, Freya? 1/2 centimetre? Can you see? That kind of thickness. So if you, do you want to actually get in position in front of it though, in front of the board? So if you just work your way across your chicken and try and make it cut it as evenly as possible, because if you've got really chunky bits or really little bits, what's going to happen is the little bits will overcook and the thick bits may not cook properly. So try and go as evenly as you can with the chicken. Okay. So this is going to take us a few minutes because we don't want to cut our fingers and we want to take our time. Okay. Okay. So this is a really fun meal because you do the cookery, it doesn't take that long, but then when you come to eat it, everyone can build their own fajitas up so people can choose what they want to put in, which is why it's nice to have all the extra bits that I've suggested for serving, like the salad and the avocado and the tomato and the salsa. I mean, we've even got, I can't pick it up because of my chicken fingers, we've even got jalapenos, which not everyone will eat, but I know some people do. That's okay. That's all right, you're doing a good job. Shall I finish this breast off? Do you want to do any more cutting or shall I do it? I can do it, yeah, no problem. So just keep going on your chicken breast, and as I say, try and cut your strips as evenly as you can. So, I don't know what it's like where you guys are, but it's really sunny here this afternoon, so we might be having our fajitas outside, I think, with a bit of luck. All right, so that's one breast cut, and then we're going to cut the other breast, and again, just make your strips as even as possible. Okay, so as I said at the beginning, or earlier on, if you want to, you can cook these with other meats. So you could use some beef, you could use steak fajitas if you wanted to, or you could just do it with all vegetables. It's entirely up to you. Freya's demonstrating her hand washing for you. Okay, so we're nearly there with our chicken. Oh, not over the food, please.
I can blow bubbles.
Okay, so that's it. Chicken's all cut. So as soon as you finish cutting your chicken, get your bowl back with the marinade and pop your chicken into it. And now is when we're going to stir it because we've got all the ingredients in there. So we just give everything a really good stir, and we want to coat as much as possible with our marinade. So you need to really stir it around in the bowl. Okay, that's it. Okay, so just make sure everything's coated. There's enough mix in there to coat everything. Okay, and then once you've coated everything, you can just set that to one side. Now, if you're not going to eat this until later on, then you could even cover it and put it in the fridge. But if you do that, make sure you get it out of the fridge about 20 minutes before you're planning to cook it. You should never cook any sort of meat from directly from the fridge. So, right, okay, so that's our chicken ready to go. So I'm going to put that to one side. What you need to do now is take your chopping board and your knife that you've cut the chicken on and go and put those in the sink. And while you're there, give your hands a wash with water, obviously, but also soap because of the chicken bacteria and the chili, because you don't want to get chili in your eyes. Why not? Why not what? Sorry, I don't. What did I say not to do? I'm not sure. I'm going to wash my hands and then I'll be back and I can hopefully answer that question. Oh, why not? I know.
What is that?
I know. I don't know if I know the answer. I've just realised what the why not is. Why do you not cook? Sorry, got it. Why do you not cook directly from the fridge? Because when it comes out of the fridge, it's obviously a much lower temperature. So it then takes the meat longer when you're cooking it to get up to the temperature you want it to be for cooking. And there's not so much with things like this where you've cut it and it's quite thin strips. But if you've got big pieces of meat, what you'll find is that you may not get it cooked through properly in the middle, and then your outside part of your meat will be overcooked. So as I say, it's not as important when you've got thin strips, but definitely if you're cooking bigger bits of meat. So it's just a good rule of thumb to follow when you're cooking meat. And then if you get into that habit, you're always going to make sure that your bigger bits of meat come out earlier as well. So, right. So I will show you how to cook that. But first of all, I'm going to just show you what we're going to do with our avocado. So we're going to make a really, really simple, it's not even guacamole to be honest, it's probably more of a avocado smash. So all you need to do, if you've got an avocado, if you've not prepared one of those before, you just cut down and around. There's a big stone, I'm sure you'll know this is a big stone in the middle, so you need to cut around the stone, being very careful, and then give it a twist like that, and you get the two halves. The easiest way to get your stone out of your avocado, you have to be super careful with this, and if you're doing this, put it on the board, okay? So it's less likely to rock around. You get your knife, probably not one as big as mine, and you just bang your knife into your stone. Can you see? Give it a little twist, and out it comes. Easy peasy. So, Freya, would you like to peel the avocados for me, please? So peel your avocados.
You could also spoon hypothetically. It's a lot easier.
So if you were making a traditional guacamole, you would have lime juice, coriander, maybe a little bit of chili, some tomato in there. So we're doing a sort of quick and easy one that didn't need lots of extra ingredients.
But you're going to put lime in, right?
Well, we've got some lime, so yeah, we're going to put a little bit of lime in. Now, the reason we're going to put lime on our avocado is that they do, a bit like apples. When you cut an apple and it's exposed to the air, it goes brown. So if you've got a little bit of lime juice left in your lime that you used earlier, you can squeeze some of that on, or if you've got another lime, or even if you've got a lemon, any of those will be fine to go on. Or if you've got a bottle of squeezy lemon, we use that as well.
We've got squeezy lemon and squeezy lime.
We have now, haven't we? So, right, so if you peel your avocados, oh look, there's a bit more. It's going to use up that old pepper. Oh. Stick that in while you're doing the avocado. You do the avocado, don't worry about me. Okay. Got a bit of old pepper here. We're going to chuck in our fajitas. Don't want to waste anything. That's another thing where these are brilliant. You can just use up what vegetables you've got in the fridge or the freezer. All right, how are we doing with that peeling? Excellent. All right, so once you're all peeled, just take your avocado, cut it in strips. So a bit like we did earlier with the chili, and then turn it around and cut it the other way. Yeah. And then put that into one of your small serving bowls. Okay. Freya's doing the other one. Oops. Got a moving chopping board.
I was moving it so I could.
That's it. Okay, we're using a very big knife. You don't need a knife as big as this. I don't know why I got that one out. Okay, so we'll put all of that into our serving bowl.
It's because we're master chefs.
And then if you take a fork, you can just give that. It's quite hard, this avocado. You can give it a mash. You want to do that, Freya? So Freya's going to give ours a little mash up. So it doesn't need to be completely smooth. It's quite nice to have a few chunks in there. So just break it down a little bit. I'm doing it. I'll tell you what, can you get me a butter knife out, please? If your avocado is quite hard like ours, I don't know why, it should be a ripe one. What you can do, quick, what you can do to speed the process up is with a knife and fork, just give it a little slice, and that helps to break it up, and then you'll find it's a lot easier to mash it. Freya, could you get me some tortillas out of the bread box, please? And some foil. Okay, so we'll just chop that up. That really is quite hard. That's a shame. We're going to have very chunky avocado today. All right, so keep mashing yours. All right, I'm going to see if I can mash it a bit. If you're really struggling, you could put it into a liquidizer or a processor, but all right. And then all I would add to this is a little bit of sea salt, or if you haven't got sea salt, just normal salt. And then, as I say, it's quite nice if you've got another lime, or you've got a bit of lime juice left over, or lemon, add a little squeeze of lime. So probably half a lime would be plenty. Squeeze it over, and that will actually help to soften the avocado as well. And then just carry on mashing it. If you don't want to have the lime juice, then all you need to do is prepare your avocado just before you're about to eat, and then it won't go brown. So I think I'm going to give up with mine. It's not mashing. So look, I'm quite chunky, so I'm going to put that into one of our small serving bowls. You then also, in another serving bowl, put your sour cream. So I will grab that shortly. There we go. So that's our avocado ready to go. And you can, if you've got it, you can add some fresh coriander, but it just depends what you've got in at the moment. I know it's tricky to get hold of everything. All right, so that's that done. If you've got tomatoes and you're not using a tomato salsa, I've got cherry tomatoes here, so I'm just going to take a handful of those. And again, with the cherry tomatoes, we can just quarter those nice and quickly and easily. There we go. And then I don't tend to put much on the tomatoes. Again, if you're into coriander, you can put some coriander on. But this is just a nice little extra topping once you make up your fajita wraps. And it just looks fun on the table to have all. Part of what's nice about this dish is all the different colours that you get with it. All right, just do a couple more tomatoes there. There we go. Whoops. I'm just going to put those into a little dish ready to go. And again, I would put a tiny bit of salt, so a little sprinkling of salt on them, and maybe some pepper. So that's dish number 2 ready. All right, so last thing I'm going to show you, like I said earlier, we've also got some jalapenos, so I'm going to put those out on a little plate for anybody that wants a jalapeno. I'll fish a few of those out. So last thing I'm going to show you in terms of the prep, and then we will go and cook our fajitas, is what to do with your tortillas. So when you are ready, there we go, ready to eat, what you want to do, so just before you start cooking your chicken, is you want to preheat your oven to 200 degrees centigrade. That's 180 on a fan assisted oven, or that would be, I'm rubbish on gas mark 6. And then you just need to get yourself a sheet of foil, quite a large strip like that. Rip off your foil, and then if I can get into my tortillas, it doesn't matter whether you're using flour or corn, whatever you fancy. Just lay your tortillas in the foil and then loosely wrap them like that. And then when your oven's warmed up, so while you're cooking your fajitas, just whack those in the oven and they'll warm through, so that by the time you're ready to eat, you've got soft warm tortillas, you've got all your dips, and you've got your mix. So I'm going to have to spin you around now because we need to go over to the hob to do the cooking. But let's do that. So as I said earlier, let's get you in the right position. Hopefully you can see I'll go on the middle burner. So hopefully you can all see that, whichever way you're watching. There we go. So as I said earlier, these are super quick to cook, which is why they're a brilliant midweek meal. So you get your frying pan, you want to put it onto a sort of medium-sized ring because you want quite a bit of heat, you don't want it burning. And then put your heat on full power to start with and grab your olive oil. Okay, so as your pan's warming up, drizzle some olive oil into the pan. You don't need tons because obviously we've got oil in the marinade. So actually you just need a little splash. I've probably been a bit heavy-handed there with our oil. You want to start to warm that oil up, grab yourself a spatula. You'll be able to tell when the oil's getting hot because it will move more freely around the pan. In fact, I'm going to take a bit of that oil out. That was really silly of me. Getting a bit overexcited there and I was chatting. Okay, so yeah, just a little bit of oil in the pan. So let's get up to a nice high heat. And then all you want to do is take your mix, and I would suggest putting half in to start with and seeing how full your pan is. So just pour, if you hear, it's sizzling, so you should get a nice sizzle. Now I would say actually for the size of pan I've got, I can get all the mix in. So if you're using a decent sized frying pan, you'll probably be all right to pop it all in. So tip your mix in, get all the marinade in there as well, and then just use your spatula to spread everything out so it's not all piled up, and then we'll just let that start to cook. Now the reason the heat's quite high is because it's not going to take very long to cook, and we want the chicken to end up a tiny bit crispy on the outside, not super crispy, but we need a high heat to achieve that. So spread everything out so it's nice spread across the pan like that. And then we'll just let that cook for a couple of minutes, and then we'll start to move it around. So you don't want to be constantly moving it around in the pan, because if you do that, it's just not going to cook very well. You have to, my frayers has a real habit of just constantly fiddling, and if you do that, it just takes forever to cook. So let that cook for a minute or two, and then we will turn it around and see how it's going. So I'm just going to do because we've got a bit of time, I'll just do the ingredients recap for you, just for anyone that's come on now and maybe wondered what on earth we're doing. We're making chicken fajitas with lots of nice things to go on top. And for that, we've used 2 large chicken breasts, 1 red onion, 1 red pepper, a red chilli, which is optional. We've used smoked paprika, ground coriander, ground cumin, garlic, olive oil, and a lime. Okay, so it's not a huge amount of ingredients, it's super simple. As I've said a couple of times before, if you want to do just all vegetables, you can. It's up to you. You can put different meats in. And then to serve it, we're going to have flour tortillas. We're going to have tomatoes chopped up or tomato salsa, avocado, which we've mashed with a bit of lime. And you could add coriander to that as well. And then also sour cream or natural yogurt. And then if you like cheese, you can have a bit of cheese on top as well. And what's really nice to think better, the more salty cheese, because that's a bit more like the cheese they have in South America. So I'm going to give mine a little turn now. So it's cooking really nicely, it's sizzling. So just start to move it around in the pan, okay? Now, you may not be cooking yours now, because if you're going to eat it later, you might want to cook it later. All right. So because we've got quite a lot of meat in here, it's going to take a little while for everything to cook and to soften. Oliver. And you could also cook this in a wok if you've got a wok, but you have to move it a bit more in a wok, I would say. So keep the heat high, so we've got a nice high temperature in the pan. Okay. So if you're cooking this now, but you're planning to eat it later, all you need to do is turn the heat, when it's cooked, turn the heat off, leave it in the pan, and then when you're ready to eat it, you just whack the heat back on and give it a little stir for a couple of minutes, and that'll heat everything through and it'll be lovely. My children are now going crazy outside. I do apologise for the background noise. I might shut the door on them in a minute. So, all right, so let's keep going with this. And we want, obviously, the peppers and the onions to start to soften. Okay. Now, the way you'll know the chicken's cooked, if you're at all worried about whether your chicken is cooked or not, the way to test it is to take a piece out, put it on a plate, and then using a knife and fork, just cut into the middle of it, and you'll be able to see. And if it's still pink, then it's not cooked. Okay, now be careful with these because they shouldn't spit too much, because if we're cooking with oil, you may get a little bit of spitting, so just be really careful. Always got to be really sensible when you're using the fork. All right. So these are probably in total going to take, I don't think how long I normally cook them for, probably about 8 minutes to cook, and everything should be done. Your peppers should start to soften, your onions should soften, and your chicken should be cooked. What you don't want to do is have everything really soft. You don't want your peppers to be super soft and your onions to be super soft. It's quite nice to still have a little bit of bite and crunch to them. So keep cooking that away for about 8 minutes. And as I say, if you're worried about the chicken, you can test the chicken by taking a piece off and cutting it. But make sure you use a knife and fork, obviously it's going to be hot, okay? So I'm going to turn the heat off on mine just for now, because it's quite noisy. I'll just turn you around here because the light's a bit better this way, I think. All right, so that's it really. I hope that all made sense. If anyone's got any questions with it, then do let me know. Just remember, when you come to eat these, you need to warm up your tortillas. So they're wrapped in foil and they're popped in a preheated oven, which is 200 degrees centigrade, 180 in a fan assisted or gas mark 6, and they'll just go in for 5 minutes. So not much, so similar time to cooking your chicken really. And then you just put it all in nice serving bowls, pop it on the table, and everyone helps themselves. So it's a really fun meal. So that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed it. I think I've got a few new people today, so welcome and thanks for coming along. Back again on Friday, and on Friday we're making soda bread, which is a good recipe to have because it doesn't need any yeast and it's super quick and easy and delicious. So hopefully you can join me for that then. If you're new to the cook along and you're thinking what on earth are they doing, and you want the ingredients, you can email me rachel@rachelpowerdesign.com and I can send you all of the ingredients for these recipes and what we've got coming up next week. If you want to receive notifications of what's happening, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Style Design Create, or you can follow me on Instagram, again, Style Design Create. That's it. Enjoy your sunny afternoon and enjoy your fajitas, and thanks once again